I want to play a couple of clips from the conclusion to that multi-night town hall that Donald Trump did with Fox News host Sean Hannity, because they are truly terrifying and really give us insight into, Melania says in her book, she wants to clarify the truth about this, that, or the other thing. Donald Trump really revealed a lot about the truth as he sees it with regard to his feelings about various voters. There was a moment during the concluding night of this town hall that Donald Trump addressed the concept of how he should just accept anybody who wants to support for him. And he seems to be saying he doesn't want the support of people who didn't support him during the primary.
They said, one person who didn't support me, he said, I must admit, I had the most successful 4 years of my life, but I'm going to vote for some. I said, and now that person came back to me. I don't want that person. I don't want that person. They say you should take everybody, but that's not the way I'm built. It's one of those little problems. This person, no, this was in the Republican primary, said, I had the best 4 years I've ever had under Trump, but I'm going to support this one. I said, that's the end of that. When they came back, they said.
There you go. So Trump is saying, some people think he's talking about Sununu, that maybe this is actually a direct attack against New Hampshire Governor Sununu. I don't know. But remember that this isn't the first time Trump has alluded to this idea that if you weren't with me in the primary, I don't want to hear from you and I don't need your support. He said it about all of the Nikki Haley voters from the Republican primary. And I hope that Nikki Haley's voters remember that now that Nikki is out there going, no, we have to vote for Trump because Kamala's bad for this, that, and the other reason. I hope that Nikki's voters remember, hey, you know what? She said that Trump isn't fit to be president. Trump said, I'm not going to need Nikki's supporters. I don't care what Nikki says today. I'm not voting for Trump. Now, whether they will do that, I don't know. One of the other really ridiculous claims that Trump made during the town hall, whoa, look at that still image, yikes, is that 75 or 80% of the country supports Trump. Now, that's not true. I know that's not true. Trump supporters are, by last election's count, roughly half of those who voted. So that'd be like 29-30% of the country. But one of the ways that you create an environment into which you might more successfully hurl allegations of voter fraud is to prime your followers with false claims like 80% of the country supports me. Because if you believe this, you would then say there must have been fraud if he lost.
Hope they're going to be fair. We're putting a lot of reliance on a network which is known for being extremely hostile to the people in this room and to, I think, 75, 80% of the country, if you want to really know the truth.
Right. If you go into Election Day thinking 80% of the country supports Trump, and then the next morning you wake up and you turn on your TV or you pick up your phone and you see Trump lost, you say to yourself, wait, 80% of the country supports him. The media is saying that he lost. There must have been fraud. Here, take my money for whatever it is you're actually going to use it for. So as wild and disjointed as these claims are, it's really important to understand that they're calculated to the extent Trump can calculate to foment an environment in which voter fraud claims might be believed. Strangely, Trump said that he went to Arlington Cemetery for that fiasco photo op to celebrate the soldiers that died in Afghanistan. Now, I know it's just a weird word to use, and we would say to commemorate, to remember, to honor. But it is sort of a Freudian reminder of the way Trump sees all of these things.
You wouldn't have had the Afghanistan disaster, which I think is the single most embarrassing day in the history of our country, where they have billions of dollars of equipment. We lost 13 great soldiers, and I celebrated and honored their wonderful, they call them their children, and they are their children. They're wonderful children.
So he celebrated and he honored them. And the way I understand that is, for Trump, it's an opportunity to celebrate a political victory. It doesn't matter whose grief or anguish or heartbreak it's connected to. It's what political victory can I obtain today and celebrate it. And Trump does see it as a victory. And then finally, finally, Trump seemingly unable to get through a single interview or a rally without echoing Hitler's rhetoric on immigration. Trump again with "they have poisoned our country."
Last night, I tell you tonight, it's the single biggest problem. They've poisoned our country. They're coming in from prisons. They're coming in from mental institutions.
There you go. He just can't get through a single one without invoking horrifying World War II era rhetoric. If this Trump is the one that shows up for the debate, it's going to be very, very bad for Trump and very good for Kamala Harris. On today's bonus show, Kamala Harris is now outlining her policy platform on her website. Will it satisfy any of the haters? Probably not. I'll tell you why. Also, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has successfully sued to get off the ballot in North Carolina. I know it's crazy, but he is staying on the ballot in Michigan per a court decision. And Donald Trump is saying that in Florida, he will vote to legalize adult recreational marijuana use. There is one word that explains why Trump is doing this, and that word is me. What is best for Trump? That's why he's doing this. I will explain all of these stories when producer Pat joins me on the bonus show.
Oh, the bonus show where you want to make money, but everybody else that makes money to fund themselves is bad.
Sign up at joinpacman.com. I'll see you then and at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight for the debate. If you're still using a free email service, your emails are often being scanned and tracked even after you delete them. Companies use the data to know everything about you and show you ads, even your most personal communications. That's why I recommend you check out StartMail. Unlike free email services, our sponsor StartMail never scans or tracks your emails. It also blocks tracking pixels, which companies and hackers use to capture your IP address. And when you delete an email in StartMail, it is gone forever, keeping your information private. StartMail allows you to create unlimited email aliases, protecting your identity and reducing spam. This lets you use different email addresses for different purposes, like newsletters or shopping. Plus, StartMail lets you encrypt every email, even if the recipient doesn't use encryption. Switching is easy. You can migrate all your existing emails and contacts with just a few clicks. StartMail also offers a business plan with unlimited domains, advanced phishing protection, and shared aliases for seamless team collaboration. Go to startmail.com/Pacman to get 50% off your first year. That's about $2 a month for a personal plan or about $3 a month for a business plan. Plus, get 25% off additional accounts for team members. The link is in the description.